We can't go over questions or anything. But let's just go over the basics. So I'm going to go to twinery.org in the browser. You can follow along if you want. You don't have to. You can do this on your own later, and you can review the video if you want to. There is a desktop app you can download if you want, but I'm just going to use it in the browser. If you want to download the app, feel free to do that. But if you go to use in browser, you can see some stories I've made in the past. And this is just because they're saved in the browser. So again, if I went home and I opened this up, I wouldn't see these projects. It's just local storage. So your browser has some local storage on the computer, and it can take advantage of that, but it's not in the cloud. Like if if you're use Google Drive or Dropbox or something like that.
Your memory, your cache or anything, those will get erased, or is it
Yeah.
on the machine?
Yeah, if I cleared the browser cache, these would disappear.
Okay.
Yeah. But anyway, this is what the editor interface looks like. There's a lot of features, but the basic setup is like pretty easy to use. So if you want to create a new project, you just click on the new button. You can also import a project or look at your archive. The build section has some publishing tools. There's a view section, and then the Twine section, you can set some settings here. So it's pretty simple. It's pretty straightforward. If we start a new project, I'm just going to call this Fall 2025 example and click create. So this is what the interface looks like. It's sort of like a node-based editor. So you create little blocks and then you connect them. The passages look like this. Each block is referred to as a passage. So it's like a passage in your story. And the little rocket ship shows where the story starts. So the first thing that people will see. And so if I open this, if I double click, it's going to open this little editor window, and I can close this. And so the thing that it has a lot of instructions built into it. So when you create a new passage, it says enter the body text here to link to another passage, put 2 square brackets around its name like this. That's actually like standard markup stuff, so it uses basic markup. If you're familiar with markup, you can use the other markup stuff, but you don't need to. So I can change the passage name. How do I? Oh, it's over here. Whoops. Okay, I thought I could just click on that. So let's call this starting point. And so you can just start writing, and you can change the style of the writing. You can do all this sorts of stuff, but mainly what you do is you just start writing. You will want to obviously spend some time coming up with a concept. You can test some stuff out first, or you can use your prompt generator. I forgot I closed my prompt generator, so let's open it again, and let's generate a prompt. Person B and person A sitting on the couch that is really soft, sinking into the cushions. Okay, that's not. Let's try another one. Okay, that's a little too romantic for me.
You might have a ship prompt generator.
Oh, what?
It's for fan fiction writing.
Oh.
It might be that type of generator.
Yeah. These are too generic. I feel like a good prompt generator just gives you random crap to work with. It's all AI stuff. It's so annoying. Okay, maybe this Quill bot. No, this is also AI. Ugh, it's the worst. Okay, I'll just make something up with my own head. Okay, but what we want to do is think about an interesting choice that our character will have to make. So let's just say you wake up and you have to decide if you are going to have a muffin or cereal. Okay, so we want to just come up with some interesting choice that our character can make just right from the beginning. You can include some more information or whatever else you want to have. Obviously, this isn't having a muffin or cereal is not the most important choice in the world, but we want to give some people just a concrete thing and then give them the choice to continue. Okay, so to make these links, I just go to the text that I want to link. It can be a word or a phrase, and I just put square brackets on either side of that word. Okay. And so when I finish that, I can close this thing, and now you'll see I have these two new passages. So the passage that I started with now has this text in it. We can see what we wrote there. And now I have two passages, and I can kind of move these around if I want to, like, you know, make space around different places. I think, yeah, and I can scroll around to move stuff here. And so now I have these two nodes or passages, and I can start to edit here. So I can double click in here, and then maybe if you have this choice, maybe we can have some sort of unexpected outcome. So we could say you pour cereal into your bowl, and a magic spider appears. Okay. So that'll be what happens if we do the cereal. And then if we have a muffin, you look for muffins, but the muffin box is empty. So you can either eat cereal or go outside to buy a muffin. And so now, if we want to link back to muffin, we're on muffin. If we want to link back to cereal, we can just include a link to cereal, and this will go back to our cereal node here, as long as that has the same name. So now and then if I don't want to go to the cereal, I can go outside. So I can put go outside to create a new link. And so now I'll have this branch down here where I can start to work with. And so you can kind of move these around to organize different clusters. And then you don't always have to have a choice. Sometimes you just want to, like, go to the next part. So we could just make Magic Spider a link. And now we just have our Magic Spider thread, and then maybe there's a choice there. So not every node or passage needs to have a choice, but the interaction should be focused on the user making decisions. Those are really just the basics. I'm going to stop there in terms of, like, editing stuff, because that's enough for you guys to get started. I'll talk about how to save your project and preview the project, because we wanted to be able to do that. But next week we'll go over some more sophisticated stuff, like keeping track of, like, items or things in the scene, and adding images and stuff like that. Okay, so once you've got started with your story, you may want to preview the story so you can see how it's going to look for a user. So if you go to the story section, if you go to the build section, if you go to test, it's going to go to your starting point, so you can see what it's going to look like, and you're going to see some information down here about your setup. So if I go to muffin, you're going to see, I guess we don't really have that much information yet, but you can see some stuff down here. If you just go to play, you'll see just the default of what a user is going to see when they play the game. So if I click on muffin, we go there, we can go back, I can click on cereal, I can go to Magic Spider. I haven't written anything there yet, but you can see a preview of what it's going to look like when you publish it. There's a way to, test from here. So if you select a block and you want to skip the whole thing, like if I want to just see what cereal looks like, this is under passage, I can go to test from here. And so now I'll just go straight to where I want to see something. And then I can also move the story. So I can click start story here, and that's where the story will open. So those are a few basic things that you can do to test stuff. And then finally, in the build section, you can publish your project. This will create an HTML file that you can publish as a website. We're not going to do this quite yet. We'll do this in a couple weeks, so don't worry about that. The thing that you will want to do is, if you want to save your file so you can edit it on a different computer, you can export as a TWE file. And so what this looks like, if you export that, it'll download this TWE file on your computer. If you want to see what this looks like, you can open it in a text editor, and it looks pretty straightforward. You can basically just see the story data. You can see, the stuff that you've added. It's pretty simple. It just saves all that data. And so if I if I email that to myself or save that somewhere, when I go back to Twine, so let's go to Twine in a incognito window, I'll be able to import it. So I can go to Library and Import and choose a file. And if I grab that Twee file, we'll see the story that we created there. So you can't save this in the cloud, as I mentioned. So if you want to work on it at home or on a different computer, just save it as a Twee file. The Twee file is really short. You could even put that in Open Lab. Like you could put that whole thing in the Open Lab if you want to. So those are kind of the basics that should be enough to get started. We'll go over some more stuff that you can do next week. But what I want to talk about now, just for the end of this little demo, is how to document and publish your work on the Open Lab. So as you start to build your Twine story today, we want to do a little bit of documentation just to show your progress. So what you want to do is just take a screenshot of your Twine like grid like this and a screenshot of the preview. It's just to kind of get us in the habit of documenting. So to take a screenshot on the Mac, if you're on Windows, there's different ways to do this, and you can look at the documentation links on the blog to do that. To do it on the Mac, it's pretty easy. I'm gonna take this tab out of Chrome just so I can kind of isolate it by itself. And I'm gonna double click on the top bar of Chrome just to make it a little bit bigger. But you can make it as, however big you want. Like if you wanna just put the stuff in the middle and just have that, you can do that. I kind of just do this because it's a little easier. And then I might center my project. And then to take a screenshot on the Mac, I'm actually already using the screenshot app to do this recording. But if you go to the Spotlight and type in screenshot, you'll be able to open the screenshot program and do it from there. But there's also a key command to do it, which is what I usually do. I hold Command Shift and then I hit 4. This is going to bring up this little target. And when you do it this way, you can draw a box and it'll make an image. That's one way to do it. I normally don't do it like that. What I normally do is I do Command Shift 4. Once you get the target, if you hit the space bar, it turns into a little camera. And then you can take a picture of the actual window. This is going to mean that it's not like cropped in a weird way. So this is going to be like the most sort of clean looking version of this. When I take a screenshot like that, you'll see the little icon appear here, and then it's going to save it on your desktop. So once that disappears, you can click this if you want to like edit it or whatever, but eventually it'll disappear. And when it does, it's going to show up on the desktop right there. So one last level of detail, you don't need to worry about this, but if you are if you care about these little details, you'll notice that the default Mac screenshot has like a little shadow. And that kind of looks nice. It kind of makes it look like the window is popping out. But you might not like that. If you don't like that, what you can do is do the same process, Command Shift 4 to get the target, and then spacebar to get the camera. And then if you hold the Option key when you click on the window, it'll make the same screenshot without the shadow. I tend to prefer the non-shadow version. The shadow looks nice, but it's just like, not necessary. Either one is fine. So that's one screenshot. You can see the name of the screenshot is just going to be screenshot with the date and time. So you might want to rename it. You don't have to, but I'm just going to call this Twine Editor. And I'll delete that one. And then I'm going to go to my preview. So I'm going to go to play, and I'm going to take another screenshot of that window. And so once that appears here, we'll just say Twine Preview. So now I have a couple images to show what I've worked on so far. And so I'll go over to the blog and post those. Okay, so let's put these back up here, and I'll go to the class blog, and I'll go to the plus button and go to post. And I'll just say my Twine story. And so when you want to put an image on the blog, there's two ways to do it. One is just drag and drop, and one is by using the editor. So if you want to use the editor, click on this plus block button and find image. If you don't see it here, just type in image and it'll come up. and then you can click upload and go to your desktop and find the image you want to upload. The other way to do it, which might be faster, is just to drag and drop. So if I have WordPress open and I go to the Finder and I just kind of move it over so I can see both at the same time. Let's get rid of that. You can see my other image here. If I drag this on to the browser interface, if you see that blue square, that means it recognizes the image. And if I drop it on there, it's gonna upload the image on there. Once you add the image on there, it adds it to like the media of the blog. So you'll see that if you go here and go to media library, you'll see all the images that are on here. Oh, it's got a lot of images from old stuff. It's kind of funny. I guess when I duplicated the blog, it kind of just duplicated some of these random images. Anyway, you'll see your images there once you upload them. Okay, so your post should include some images, but it should also include some writing. It's just one or two sentences just talking about what you've been working on. And when we write these blog posts, this is for documentation. So it's not like a dissertation. It's not like a really long thing, but it just gives people context for what you're working on. And you should think about writing this for a neutral, just general audience. So you don't want to write like, you don't want to assume that whoever's reading this knows what they're looking at. So just give like a simple, brief overview. So you could say, this is my Twine story so far. I'm writing a story about choosing what to eat for breakfast, but there is a surprise. Something like that, just to kind of give a sense of what you're going for with the story. Okay, once you've got it ready to go, click publish, and then click publish again, and this will publish your post. And once it's done, you'll see the link to the post, and that's what you're going to submit on Brightspace for the assignment. So just copy that link. You can view the post, and if you want to make edits, just keep in mind you can just click edit here and make changes, and the link will stay the same. So if you submit something on Brightspace, but then you like realize you forgot something or you want to change something, you can make edits to the post, and you don't have to change the link that you submitted. It'll still be the same link. So I'll go over to Brightspace. I'll go to the learner view and go to assignments. And here's the first blog post, Twine 1. All you have to do is post your link here. You don't have to post your file. That's just for you. I'm just gonna look at the documentation. For these blog posts, it's not really about like the quality of the project. It's just about making the post and documenting your progress. So you'll see in the rubric, you get 5 points just for publishing the post itself. 10 points for documentation. So if you have images or video or whatever the post is asking for. Right now we're mostly doing images, but eventually we'll be doing video as well. A 1 to 2 sentence written description with clear writing and grammar. I'll take points off if your description is like, I did this, like, no, whatever. And the link itself. The link should be to the published post, not to like the edit post. So sometimes people send me the link that looks to this page where they actually write the post. I can't open this because it's on your account. So you need to send me the published post. So if it looks like this, if it has like post.php and blah, 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 that's not the right post. It should look like this. It should just look like a normal URL. So once you do that, just click submit, and that's it. That's the assignment. Yeah, that's it. I'll stop here, and we have the rest of class for workshop time, and I'll post this video. So if you want to review it, you can, but you can also just work through it on your own if you have questions. I've been recording this whole last bit. Yeah, so it'll be on the YouTube, and if you want it, you don't have to, but if you want to review it to see the steps that I go through, it's there for review. All right, so I'm going to stop the video.